A 5-year-old kid sitting in a courtroom, accused of hacking into a multi-million-dollar company's system. The judge is ready to throw the book at him, until the kid opens his mouth. In a quiet town in Texas, a tech company named Secure Tech was hit by a cyber attack that no one saw coming. Their entire system was locked down, and sensitive client data was stolen. Panic spread through the company as they realized the extent of the breach. The FBI was called in to investigate, and after weeks of tracking, they traced the hack back to an IP address. But here's the twist. The IP led them to a small, rundown apartment in Atlanta, home to a 5-year-old boy named Ethan and his mom, Lisa. At first, everyone assumed Ethan was just a pawn in a larger scheme. Maybe someone had used his computer remotely, or perhaps had been manipulated by a professional hacker. But as the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Ethan wasn't just a bystander. He was the one behind the keyboard. The FBI agents were baffled. How could a 5-year-old, who should have been playing with toys, pull off something this advanced? Ethan's mom, Lisa, was in complete shock. She worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table and had no idea her son was spending his time teaching himself how to code. To her, Ethan was just a quiet kid who loved playing on his old laptop. She never imagined he could be capable of something like this. But the evidence was undeniable. Ethan had accessed Secure Tech system, and now he was facing serious legal consequences. The real problem wasn't just the hack itself. It was the question of intent. Why would a 5-year-old do something like this? Was it malicious, or was there something deeper going on? The FBI, the company, and even the judge were all left scratching their heads. This wasn't just a case about cybersecurity. It was about understanding the mind of a child who saw the world differently. And as the story unfolded, it became clear that Ethan's actions were about to reveal something far more surprising than anyone could have imagined. Ethan's story begins in Atlanta, where he lived with his mom, Lisa, in a small, cramped apartment. Lisa worked 2 jobs, one as a waitress during the day and another cleaning offices at night, just to make ends meet. With her long hours, Ethan spent most of his time alone, often glued to an old laptop she'd managed to buy him secondhand. It wasn't much, but to Ethan, it was a window into a world of endless possibilities. By the age of 3, Ethan was already showing signs of being different. While other kids his age were playing with action figures or watching cartoons, Ethan was fascinated by the laptop. He'd watch YouTube tutorials on coding, teaching himself how to navigate complex systems. Lisa didn't understand what he was doing, but she was just happy he was occupied and safe at home. She had no idea her son was quietly becoming a self-taught prodigy. The day of the hack started like any other. Ethan was sitting at the kitchen table, typing away on his laptop. He'd been exploring different websites, trying to understand how they worked. Somehow, he stumbled across Secure Tech system. To Ethan, it wasn't about causing trouble. It was a puzzle waiting to be solved. He found a vulnerability in their security and, out of curiosity, figured out how to bypass it. But Ethan wasn't trying to steal anything. In fact, once he was in, he left a note explaining the flaw and even suggested how to fix it. When the FBI showed up at their door, Lisa was terrified. She couldn't believe her sweet, quiet son was being accused of hacking a major company. The agents explained that Ethan's IP address had been linked to the breach, and they needed to investigate. Lisa felt like her world was crumbling. She didn't know anything about computers or hacking, and the idea that her 5-year-old could be involved in something like this was beyond her understanding. As the investigation continued, more details came to light. Ethan hadn't just accessed the system, had exposed a critical security flaw that even Secure Tech's own engineers had missed. The company's CEO, a man named Robert Hayes, was initially furious about the breach. But when he learned the hacker was a 5-year-old who'd left a note trying to help, his anger turned to disbelief. How could a child do something like this? And more importantly, what did it mean for the future of cybersecurity? Ethan's story wasn't just about a hack. It was about a kid who saw the world differently. While others saw barriers, Ethan saw opportunities to learn and explore. And as the case moved forward, it became clear that this wasn't just a story about a crime. It was a story about potential, curiosity, and the unexpected ways brilliance can show up in the most unlikely places. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, tech experts, and curious onlookers filled the seats, all eager to see how this bizarre case would unfold. At the center of it all was Ethan, a tiny 5-year-old boy dressed in a suit that looked 2 sizes too big for him. He sat quietly next to his mom, Lisa, who looked like she hadn't slept in days. The judge, a stern man named Judge Harris, adjusted his glasses and looked down at Ethan, clearly struggling to process how someone so young could be involved in something so serious. The prosecutor laid out the case, emphasizing the severity of the hack and the potential damage it could cause to secure tech. He painted Ethan as a threat, a child who'd knowingly breached a secure system. But then it was Ethan's turn to speak. The judge leaned forward and asked, "Ethan, why did you do it?" The room fell silent. Everyone expected Ethan to cry, to freeze, or to say nothing at all. But instead, he looked up at the judge with wide, innocent eyes and said, "I just wanted to see if I could fix it." His voice was soft but clear, and the simplicity of his answer caught everyone off guard. The judge paused, clearly taken aback. "Fix it?" he asked. Ethan nodded and explained that he'd found a hole in the company's system, a vulnerability that could let bad people in. He didn't want to cause trouble, he just wanted to help. In fact, Head left a note explaining the flaw and even wrote out steps on how to patch it. The CEO of Secure Tech, Robert Hayes, who was sitting in the courtroom, stood up. He'd been furious about the breach, but hearing Ethan's explanation changed everything. "Your Honor," he said, "if what this child is saying is true, he didn't just hack us, he exposed a critical flaw that our own team missed. He didn't steal anything. He tried to help." The judge sat back in his chair, clearly wrestling with the situation. Here was a 5-year-old who'd done something extraordinary, not out of malice, but out of curiosity and a desire to solve problems. After a long pause, Judge Harris made his decision. Instead of pressing charges, he turned to Ethan and said, "Young man, you've got a gift. Let's make sure it's used the right way." Robert Hayes stepped forward and offered Ethan a full scholarship to a prestigious tech school, along with a promise to mentor him. The courtroom erupted in applause, but Ethan just smiled, unaware of how much his life was about to change. This wasn't just a legal case, it was a moment that challenged everyone's assumptions about age, ability, and the power of curiosity. If this story made you rethink what's possible, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the next one.